Hello. Today's episode is a conversation with the Austin-based band Naked Lunch. I first met these two around the Austin area playing at jams and open mics around the city. We got to talking because I really fell in love with their sound. They have such a cool mix of math rock and post-rock and soul and R&B. So I got to talking with them, and I thought it would be fun to discuss with them on the podcast their histories as musicians. Joey is the guitar player, who also has a history in the culinary arts, and Camila, the vocalist, also has a history as an architect. And we also get into an interesting discussion about barbecue in Austin versus Kansas City, which is sort of a contentious topic, so it's pretty interesting. But before we get to that, please remember to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channels. And if you would like to consider supporting my content generally, please visit my Patreon page. If you sign up for just $3 a month, you can submit topics or questions for me to address on the podcast, either by myself or with guests. And remember that as a podcaster and a musician, I operate on the value for value model. Now, that model comes out of the No Agenda podcast hosted by John C. Dvorak and Adam Curry. And the idea is that if I provide value to you, I ask that you respond in kind by providing value back to me. Now, the simplest way to provide value is probably a monetary value back to me for providing value to you through my content. However, there are other types of value, things like services in exchange for services, like audio engineering, video editing, things like that. You could also submit music for me to use in a podcast. You could submit a logo for a particular podcast episode. You could submit artwork. You could submit anything like this, just so there is an exchange of services for each other. And now to the show. Welcome to Music in Mind, with Anthony Calkin. Welcome to Music in Mind. I'm here with the Austin band Naked Lunch. We have Joey, who's the guitar player, and Camila, who is the vocalist. And we've met a couple times now. I met them maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago at the open mic at WTF Ice House in Austin, and then we played together at OPA at their open mic, and they just have a really cool vibe. They have this really cool broad sound with neat guitar chords and just beautiful melodies and everything, and so it's been fun to hear their music. So thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so how's it going? How's life?
You want to go? There's so much. Life is pushing right now. We're going through it, like a good going through it.
Yeah, you know, we have regular jobs, and then all of our free time is being soaked up with music right now, which is how we want to spend it.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't do it, we wouldn't. So
right.
It's good.
Yeah, that's great. The having a job thing is really interesting. There's sort of that dynamic. There's the full-time musicians who sleep until noon every day, and there's the musicians who have jobs, and they have to prioritize their free time to music in a very specific way. Do you feel like that changes your creative process at all?
So I keep hearing both sides, right? It's like, on one hand, I would love to just be able to sit for days and focus on music solely, because maybe I should. If anybody hears this at my job, I work hard at my job, but I am always listening to our music in my headphones at work, just like
wow, okay,
in my head, so that afterwards I can give Joey notes, and I have all these notes that I have to go over. And on the other hand, I hear like, but your job gives you something to write about, and it's like, what are you making music about if you're not out in the world?
Yes.
So I can see both sides. Right now, it's hard for me to see the latter because I want to just be in the world of music. But and I feel like I have a lot of lifetime under my belt to write about. But at the same time, maybe this pressure is helping us be more efficient. And I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say the pressure is good for not procrastinating, because like it forces us to have to make something in order. Like we kind of set a goal to have it ready before we do like a open jam, or we're going to showcase a song. We're pushing it like in a very time, like a super short time, period to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times it's only a few hours, but after that, we will just, for a whole day, just dig into it. And then we have to go to work.
Yep.
And then come back, dig. And then it's like, okay, we have to play a show. Or do a performance.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that focus is really important, and I notice it with classical musicians versus professional gigging musicians. Because when I was playing in a lot of pit orchestras, you'd only really get 1 or 2 rehearsals before the show, and so you'd have to come in and just know it immediately, and there was really no room for error. And I think that actually elevated everybody's playing. Versus in college, when you rehearse something for 3 months, and actually by the performance time, it's still weak.
Yeah.
Because you haven't ever put that focus in. It's always like, next week it'll be better. Next week it'll be better. Yeah. But it's interesting how that can really sharpen you. And Camila, something else that you were talking about wanting to be always in music, but also needing to experience the world. It's I feel like comedians run into the same problem, where when they're on tour all the time, all of their jokes just start becoming about airports and things like that.
Yeah. And things.
Right. Well, we talked about comedians the other night too.
Yeah. A lot of
strong opinions.
It's too much. I don't want to be negative. I don't want to be negative, but it's just, I definitely have my opinions. It's like, I can't hear the same thing over and over and think and appreciate it. Because to me, creation is the most important part of being an artist in whatever medium you choose to be. Creativity and honesty. And it's like, if I just hear regurgitation of the same 3 topics, I'm like, what are we doing?
So what about for music? Because for music, obviously, you have to play the same songs over and over and over and over again.
Yes. Do you want?
No, go for it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's like, it comes out of respect, right? It's like, it comes in phases. So my day job is architecture, and the process is so similar. It's uncanny, right? It's like, people think the entire time you're designing the building, and no, you're designing the building for about 10% of the time, and then you have to do all of the construction documents and the structural stuff to make sure it doesn't fall. And unfortunately, creators, it's hard for us to hit that off switch and say stop designing. So we'll make little things in the beginning. We'll make little edits to the initial design, which trickles into everything else that you're doing. And so now you have to update construction documents and structural and HVAC and everything. And that's how music is. It's like, when you first create it in its inception, it's like magic. And it's the best part. I think it's the best part. But then you have to refine it. You have to refine it, you have to edit it, and you have to master it. And that's where the respect comes in. And that's what separates you from people who just like sing in the shower. No knocking the most talented shower singers. It's like, just everybody doesn't want to do this as a career,
Yeah.
But if you do want to do this as a career, then you have to make sure everything else is in line too. It's just like children. You spend 9 months
growing them,
and then you have 18 years to raise it. It's like, we cook it and then we raise it. It's so primal.
Yeah, the primalness is interesting. I also like what you were saying about music being magic. There's a conception I have of music that I got from talking to someone else on the podcast. Her name was Emma Garrett. She's a Canadian musician, and she just said music is magic. And I started thinking about it, and I thought, that sounds true. That sounds right in this weird way. And then I started conceptualizing musicians as sorcerers or illusionists. And sort of what you're doing when you're successfully doing music is you're kind of casting a spell on the crowd, because they're enraptured in what you're doing, and they're feeling with you, but you're kind of manipulating and controlling the situation. So if you're doing it successfully, you're kind of being a sorcerer.
I love that. You're a wizard. You know, and I love talking about music as magic, but I also like talking about it as science. And like, so I just got out of grad school, so unfortunately I'm still in this very academic, theoretical framework.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah. And so, and I got out of school for architecture, and we study neurophenomenology, which is the marriage of neuroscience, philosophy, and architecture.
Wow.
And we theorize about a lot of different random stuff, but one of the things we theorize about is like parapersonal and extrapersonal space, you know? And it's like,
what's para? Sorry.
It's parapersonal is like my distance, right? It's like, this is my parapersonal space. And where, as far as my body goes, but extrapersonal space is beyond that. And if you trust someone, you let them into your parapersonal space. Now, in the craft of mastery, in mastering your craft, your tools become part of your parapersonal space, and they become extensions of yourself. So like Joey's guitar is an extension of himself, and a writer, their pen is an extension of themselves, because if you remove that object, they are no longer their full selves. And so when I think about music, because my instrument, I'm a vocalist, my instrument is my voice, but I don't think that Joey's guitar is the extent of his parapersonal space. I think it's the distance by which that sound travels. And suddenly, you know, when you're making music with someone, to other people, they are now part of your parapersonal space. And like, we're all in here together, sharing energy, sharing music. And I don't mean energy just like in a spiritual way, but like energy, like every organ in your body and everything emits a biomagnetic field.
Yeah.
All of our biomagnetic fields are now vibrating.
Yeah.
And maybe not at the same frequency, but they're meeting you at a frequency that you're creating. So
thousands of frequencies, right?
Yeah.
All sorts of frequencies moving together, buzzing together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So Joey, do you feel that way about the guitar? Do you feel the guitar is sort of an extension of your voice, and then by extension, an extension of your bodily space in a way? Or what is your connection to your guitar and your musical ideas or your musical voice?
It's kind of hard to explain that, actually, because for me, I don't talk a lot, obviously. And for me to talk, it's like I have to play music. So it's me talking, and that's kind of how I would use it. It's like, it is my voice, and that's why I use it. I don't necessarily feel a bunch of different things. It's just me projecting. So it's hard for me to get like connections back unless it's music. If it's not, like, I'm not really attached to it. I don't really feel anything from it. So it's like, I just use it as my voice, I guess, to describe it. But yeah, I mean, very simple.
Well, no, but we were talking about some of your composition techniques and the way that you go for chords that might not even be chords that you know the names to or anything like that.
Right. I actually, a lot of the chords that you've heard on some of our songs, I played them for the first time when I was making them. And it was because like I could hear it, and I was just tracking them, and I don't know how to read sheet music, and I couldn't tell you what key I'm playing in either. I'm very bad at all this, and no shame in it, like
it's great.
Learn, but it's just, I don't like it. I'll just hear it before I have to even learn it. Some people, when you play in an orchestra or something, I imagine they can't just play it from hearing it. They want the sheet music. They want to be able to follow it accurately. It's just like, I can hear it, I'll feel it, and it'll just come out. I just start talking, but I'm playing.
Right. But that's great. I mean, that's fluency, right? Because when you start speaking, you're not planning out every word that you're going to say ahead of time. You're just speaking. And so that's amazing. Achieving fluency like that is sort of the goal of being a musician, right?
Yeah. Who needs sheet music and
Stop.
No, I do want to get more into music theory, just so I feel like it would help me map out things better and collaborate with other people.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard. It's like, just feel it.
Yeah.
No, there's like 6 changes. You can't feel it.
So how would you describe your music?
We've come up with a few different words for it, but the thing that we always keep coming back to is this one word that's just collage.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Camille's influences R&B, little hip hop. There's
all kinds of stuff. Like
lots of stuff.
There's all kinds of stuff. It's just like when I was growing up, my mom listened to all kinds of music, and it was all good, right? Like on Sundays, we would listen. It was cleaning day, so we'd be listening to Pink Floyd and Cypress Hill and some stuff in Spanish, and Lauryn Hill and India Ari, and then like Sade and then Guns N' Roses. So it was like there was the spectrum was open, and so when I was older, I was able to explore more. And it's like when that's your base, then all the obscurity is no longer obscure. It's just more input.
Yeah.
But I love to listen to all kinds of stuff. And like my first music mentor trained me in opera, and I'll always thank her for that, because it's just the best foundation, I think, for a vocalist.
So when was that, the opera training?
So I started in 3rd grade. So I think I was like 8. But she was great. She signed me up for like the lyric opera camp in my city. And
wow.
Yeah, and we were able to do like trainings during the summers, and I was able to train with her personally, and it was great. And then I picked it back up in high school because they do like competitions and stuff. And so we'd pick a couple of songs from the genre, and then we'd have an accompanist, and it would just be us and like me and him going back and forth. And like I think my favorite experience was doing the Gloria Vivaldi, and we did all 12 movements.
Cool.
And that was the best. Like if I haven't read music in a long time, but I'm pretty positive if you put the Vivaldi sheet music on me, I'd know exactly what to do.
That's great. Vivaldi's so fun too. It's so ornamental and it's florid. It's lovely. I always loved Vivaldi.
Harmonizing in triples is one of the most fun things I ever did. It was just she's doing this and I'm doing this, and then we do this together, and it was wonderful. But all kinds of stuff. I mean, and luckily, like I surround myself with some pretty strange people who like really out there music. Like it's the best.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Joey, what about you? Where are your influences coming from?
I grew up listening to Houston rap with my dad.
Cool.
And a lot of chopped and screwed music. Doesn't really play a part into it, but it's how I got into it. And he liked rock and roll, like classic stuff. My mom was like country and R&B. So I had like so many, like just all over the place. And through that, I found an instrument that I liked, and I just dove more into like heavier things like metal and proggy stuff, post-rock, instrumental bass stuff. I didn't really care for vocals. I would just listen to instrumentals like as growing up. Like
interesting.
Yeah, I think the first time math rock was the thing that really like pushed me. I was like, this is exactly what I want. I remember this moment I told my dad, I was like, we're gonna run out of music one day because I felt like everybody was doing the same thing, like verse, chorus, verse, bridge, like the whole, which is cool because you need structure. But as a child, like I was just thinking walls. All I can see are walls. And I was just hearing the same chords, like chord progressions, overuse. And then in high school, freshman year, I think, I found math rock, and I was like, wow, what is this? This is weird. Like, it's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a name for it. It was years later till somebody was telling me about it, that's what it's called. Wow. And after I found that, I started like honing my sound more into that because that's what I was trying to do the whole time. People were already doing it.
So did you learn how to play it without learning how to count odd meters and stuff too?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you just did it by feel, and you just listened to a track enough that you just felt where the changes were.
The numbers mean nothing to me.
Wow.
But now it's all numbers.
Yeah, no,
Now
I'm
it's
trying
like
to tighten it up.
it's
Now it's
tough.
all numbers.
Yeah,
It's tough, like in the inception of our music, it's really perfect because he'll just be playing, and like he said, like he's not the best communicator verbally, but it's like my career forces me to be extremely empathetic, and whatever he's playing, I'm feeling it. And and it's easy for me to dig in my box of emotions because I'm extremely emotional, and it works. And the beginning is the easiest part for us. It's like he's flowing, and then I'm meeting his wave, and we just create a song. Like literally, I don't write anything down. I just hit record, and then later I'll go back and listen back, and then I'll write down what lyrics I want to keep, and I'll get rid of what I want to get rid of. And then it's just the middle part that's the hardest for us. It's like now we have to make decisions. Everything is precious, and it's just hard to let go of stuff sometimes. Like I have to do it a lot. I'm a vocalist, so words come naturally to me,
Right.
and I'll write like 4 pages, and I'll have to get rid of 3 of them.
Or write a really long song.
Well, we just decided we're gonna keep our first 8-minute song.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Because it's so beautiful, and it's really hard. This is probably the hardest song ever to chop down. But everything else, it's been both of us. I'll hit him with, "All right, we got to get rid of this," and he's just like, "We're not getting rid of that." And I'm like, "Look, I had to cut my words down by 25%, so I'm gonna need you to cut down with me."
Right, like and that has to do with like the music that I was into, like post rock.
Yep.
They have like 13-minute songs, and it's just like ambient things. I can keep going.
Yeah.
I'm like, the Energizer Bunny, I won't stop. I'll just keep playing. And then she's like, "All right, we're at 13 minutes."
Yeah, I'm like,
perfect.
Perfect.
We're definitely gonna have our Explosions in the Sky album. It's like we are, because I am a writer and because he's a guitarist, we are writing these songs that are more, it's hard to say this because people, when they hear our music, they're like, I have no idea what genre that is.
Yeah, what is it?
But it's the most palatable version of what we're doing.
You mean what you're playing live?
Yeah. But what we're doing on our own, like, there's just some stuff that I understand people will fall asleep to, but we're going to put it out anyway because it's literally just him playing and me making sounds. At that point, I'm not even saying words. We're just...
That's great. That sounds awesome. And you're scared of free improv. That sounds perfect.
Oh my God.
You should see some of the things I've done with vocalists. playing through tubes and going.
Oh my gosh.
Mongolian throat singing.
Oh yeah.
Hey, that was pretty good. You got it.
Yeah, but I mean that's interesting because especially if you're trying to do things like open mics. I mean, a 13-minute song, you're really taking up space there. But
yeah.
You guys ready for the next one?
Yeah, can we do one more?
No.
But that's tough. So how do you navigate that? What do you see the function of the open mics or the jams around Austin for your group?
Right now, the way I think I can speak for both of us on this, it's like practice.
Yep.
And it's like just being able to be comfortable, because I have like a little bit of social anxiety when it comes to like being there. Right. And it just helps me be more open and speak, because like I'm not used to speaking in front of like large crowds. So me playing my guitar is me being able to just translate that. And along with that, meeting new musicians, being able to collab with people. They're always going to those, and they do it for fun. And they're in the idea of like wanting to just hear other people just for fun. Like they're not forced to be there. They don't have to be there because they're in a gig or a show or whatever. Like they're just there having a good time. And I think you really get to meet people at a better spot than you were to meet them like if you're on the same bill. You know, it's just business at that point.
Yes. Yep.
That's what we use that. What I think that I use that for mostly. Would you add to that?
Yeah, I've been performing for most of my life,
Mm-hmm.
and it was nice at the beginning just to get my feet wet because at that point I hadn't touched the stage in like a year maybe when we did our first open mic. But now I really approach it through the lens of like homework. Like I talk to the sound guy. I ask what all these buttons do. I'm trying to figure out how to do sound check when I'm standing on the stage because I can't hear at the back of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to figure out what sounds best with my voice because, you know, if you're like in a choir or performing for a competition, all of that stuff is worked out for you.
Right.
You're not AV. But when I started, so when I was at university, I coordinated music events and I hired musicians and then I ran an open mic.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that there's just so much more to this that I'm not aware of.
Mm.
And so now I'm trying to figure that aspect out. And because, you know, when I hire musicians and then we allot like 2 hours for their sound check, but then they come back and they get back on stage and they spend another 15 minutes after the fact, and that's already cutting into their set. I'm like, sound's off when it's off.
Right.
So you're going to have to cut your set short now at this point, and I just don't want that to be us. So right now, I'm literally every show we go to, every open mic we do is input.
I see.
Yeah, but it's also great to just be able to put our songs out there for people, like Joey said, that are not being paid and aren't forced to be there. They just love what they do.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful like environment to get your feet wet in.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So neither of you is from Austin originally, right?
Mm-mm.
So how long have you each been here?
I've been here about 6 years.
Okay.
5 or 6. Somewhere like that.
And you came from Houston or you went somewhere else in between?
So I just came back from Colorado, but I was only there for a few months. I just went to go for like a seasonal job, but
okay.
I stopped in Houston for a minute and then I decided to come to Austin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was it for music?
No, actually it was for culinary. Because
okay.
My backup plan.
Well, that's what you do for work, right? You work.
Yeah, it's my profession right now. I'm a sous chef.
Cool. That's awesome.
He's the best.
Best sous chef?
I mean, I'm all right. I can make some stuff.
Yeah, I believe it.
You can make a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have aspirations of being a chef, like a head chef?
You know, I did at one point, and it's kind of, you know, left and right, teetering yes and no, because I like food, and my mom's a chef, and I grew up eating good food, like wild things like boar, rabbit, and like foie gras, all these different crazy French like culinary things, and that kind of gives me that drive, like, oh, I would love to be a head chef, but at the same time, like, I would much rather be doing music. And at the end of the day, I think I would regret not trying to do before trying to be a head chef, because, you know,
you could always be a head chef.
Right. I can go get a loan and open my business and call myself the head chef if I want.
There you go. Yeah, right. So do you feel like Austin is a good food city? I'm interested in this coming from LA because I considered LA to be an extremely good food city.
LA is an extremely good food city, and I think they have a few Michelin star restaurants over there too, right? They should have like
I think so.
Handful of them.
I mean,
I mean, I'm not really like
In-N-Out. I think is actually Michelin starred.
No, it is not.
Well, because the idea of the Michelin star, and Joey, maybe you can correct me on this if I'm not right, but I think the idea is not that it's the best restaurant ever, but it's the best restaurant at what it does specifically.
Right.
So if it's a bagel place, it does the best bagels, which obviously isn't going to compete with a steak house in the same way. And so is it the best bagel place and the best steak place, but they're not competing with each other.
Right. I get that. They won't be. There's rules that they have. There's a whole book of rules that they have.
Uh-huh.
The fact that they're a chain, I think, is one of those that cuts them out. You can be a food truck and get one. There's one in Singapore, and he does Peking duck, I think, or
Oh wow, okay.
and that's all he does, and sells out, and that's it.
Wasn't it? It was started by the Michelin Tire Company, right? It was for roads, places.
It was
traveling through France on the road.
It was a guide to restaurants, and they based it off of stars, and the 3 stars was the best restaurant to go to, and they just kind of kept that tradition and got more refined with it and fancy.
That's pretty cool. So, are there Michelin star restaurants here in Austin?
No, not at all.
Okay.
There probably never will be.
It should be a Michelin star restaurant.
They have a good running.
Shout out Quanto's Tacos.
Yeah.
They should definitely be a Michelin star food truck.
Delicious. Best taco place in Austin. I don't care
Which one?
Quanto's Tacos. It's
Quanto's?
on 11th Street.
Oh, okay, cool.
You haven't tried
I have
it?
a whole list of places to try.
Well, forget your list and then go to that one.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so Austin, good food city, or what do you think?
It's good. I would say it's good because there's a lot of variety, and especially for the vegan community, there's a good vegan community here that supports each other and work together. And I think in that way, you can't get great food like LA. You can get great food, and that's because it's an international city where they get a lot of people coming in and all different kinds of cultures and people that just go to California to pursue their dreams. So they're really trying here. Nobody really comes to Austin to like pursue a dream unless it's in music, but food is like secondary, I think, in my head.
What about barbecue though? Because I did not find good barbecue in LA.
No, barbecue definitely the best here.
Right.
It's a little biased.
That was a good look. Now I have to know what Camila's thinking.
Well, I'm from Kansas City.
I see. Now here we go. That's good.
And it's better.
It's saucy there, right?
Yes, extremely saucy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's better. The sauce is better. The meats are better. I've not had any barbecue in Austin that I thought was like, wow. But I've not had
that look. Wow, this is amazing.
So, I've not had Franklin's yet, so I can't say. But I've had Stubbs, and I've had these random places.
Stubbs is not actually. I went to Stubbs. That was my mistake. The first place I went was Stubbs, and honestly, I was like very underwhelmed, and I was like, "Is this barbecue? This is what everything's cracked up to." It was bad. But then where did I go? I went to Terry Black's, and I was like, "Whoa, this is very, very good."
Oh yeah, Terry Black's is good.
It was like very good. It was a whole different level.
Yeah,
I was like, "Now I get it. This is super good."
And they pay their employees good too.
Oh, that's great. That's good to hear.
It's like $24 to start.
Nice. And they have that bar in line.
Yeah.
they know how to do the experience.
Yeah. The whole cafeteria style.
Yeah.
Micklowith is a good barbecue place.
Yeah, that's on my list too.
Super good. They always sell out. You got to get there early. The one issue that I have with it is that why are we waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning to stand in line to eat heavy
Who
meat?
Wants that at that time? You wanted a dinner.
They sell out at 2. It's more of a selfish thing if you ask me on the pit masters and the people that make it. It's like, I don't want to work till 4 o'clock.
They don't have to. They don't have to. People are gonna line up anyway.
I mean, they have their night crew that smoke the meat overnight, of course, but like they don't have
They
to
could do that during the day.
They could. It takes a long time to smoke them, so that I get that, but like the service time, it's not catered to the customer, it's catered to them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess they have the power. They
do.
If they can do it.
It's good, so they can.
If I had it my way, same thing.
Yeah.
They only perform before 4 p.m.
Perform before 4 p.m. Nobody would show up.
Yeah. Right.
No, I like the night.
Yeah.
It helps with the sorcery.
Yeah. Kansas City opens their barbecue places pretty late, like Jack Stack.
Yeah.
Jack Stack was pretty good. I did like them. And this what was the other one that we
Gates.
Gates.
So they harass you.
Oh my gosh, what a
They harass
awesome
you.
experience.
Yeah, they're just really no nonsense. Like you go through the line and they're just like, "What do you want?"
Yeah.
Because they can't even hear you because there's so much going on in the back. So they have to yell at you. And if you don't know immediately what you want, you gotta get back in the line because they won't serve you.
That's great. It's like Katz's or something in New York.
Yeah, or like Dick's almost. Have you ever been there with the silly hats?
That's great. I kind of like that. I'm also very interested in the connection between Jewish delis and barbecue places, specifically because of the brisket. Because brisket is such a common Jewish meat, and then it's also like the king of everything in Austin. It seems like, and it's just a different preparation. So instead of corning it and making pastrami, you smoke it. But even the way that you buy it deli style by the pound at a counter.
Yeah. It's so funny too because brisket is a cheap cut of meat, and like probably for the longest time nobody wanted that cut because they didn't know how to cook it, and it's like like they sell it for a low price, and now you try to get brisket, it's super expensive because we made it a thing.
That's what so many foods though, like things get discarded and thought of as like nothing, and then like
lobsters.
Yeah, and oxtails and
They used to feed lobsters to.
I always say you can't buy style, right? You can't buy style. You can have the most expensive cut of meat, but if you don't know what to do with it, it's worthless.
Yep.
And people now want the cheapest cuts of meat, and they can charge big prices because you can't buy talent.
Right.
It's I don't know if it's earned because there's such a wide spectrum. Obviously, there's going to be the prodigies who don't have to work at all for their talent and notoriety. But then there's the craftsmen, which is, I think, where we're at. It's like people who don't shy away from those innate, like, urgencies of, I have to do this, and then dedicate their time to just shove it, just push through.
Yeah.
It's like, because an oxtail, who the heck wants to eat that? That is the craziest thing I ever heard.
All the bones in it.
It's disgusting.
It's hard to eat. It's kind of an ordeal.
But they figured it out.
Another good place, Tony's Jamaican. They have a good oxtail.
Here?
Yeah.
A Jamaican place. Oh, wow.
On 11th Street. Or actually, I think it's on 12th. I'm not sure about that. I think
Tony's Jamaican. Okay. Well, I'll look it up. That's cool. I wouldn't have expected there to be good Jamaican food here.
It's the only one, and they do a pretty good job, and they got a good following right there.
Nice. Cool. Well, it's interesting that you each are in fields outside of music that are very kind of compositional in nature or structural in a way, right? So you both have crafts that involve being creative and putting things together. Do you feel like that they inform each other, or music is kind of an extension or something like that? Is there a relationship?
Relationship between music and what we do?
Well,
food or architecture?
My whole thesis was that regardless of the medium, if someone dedicates themselves to craft, the apex will always look the same, right? It's like when you reach the highest echelon of how much work you're willing to put into whatever you're doing, it's like the structure is the same and the outline is the same. You're just using a different instrument. You're just using a different medium for what you're trying to relay. Like, I love architecture, and it took me a really long time to find it. And I love music more than anything, but it's really hard to admit to yourself that it's what you want out of life. Like, I come from a family of immigrants. I have strong immigrant mentality, and it's just so hard for me to say, like, I want to be a musician, not to a parent or to a family member, just to myself, of like, this is what I want for the rest of my life. Because at the same time, I've spent the time to learn architecture, and I know I can see a very clear path on how I can master architecture and be extremely successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm choosing to do something that doesn't have a clear path, that has so many different ways of achieving success or whatever the idea of success is. But I'm choosing like less consistency, which for someone like me, personally, consistency is a luxury that I have come to really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think regardless of the craft, the steps are the same. It's like if you really care about the integrity of whatever field you're in, you're going to spend the time to get to know it. You're going to learn how to be creative in it, because you know that it's just like science, right? It's like it's never finished.
Right.
It's never done.
Right, of course.
There's always something new to be discovered. There's always something. As humans are ever evolving, everything that concerns humanity should evolve with it. And what are you doing to evolve your field?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think regardless if it's food or architecture or sculpture or whatever, it's like
landscaping.
Yeah, literally anything. Anything. You can pick absolutely anything, and you can be the person who does it corporate and Henry Ford's it down the line, and or you can be the one who refines it and it's special and evolves it.
Yeah, I would say I can connect it to food, actually. So whenever in the kitchen, like if there's no music playing, I cannot cook the best food.
Wow, okay.
So whenever I have like a playlist going or like something that I'm in the mood, it'll just come into my food. It'll just start like a dancing with my food. We're busy with like tickets or down the line at other restaurants that I've been in, and if there's music playing, I'm not stressed at all. I'm just dancing. We're going quick fire, and it just brings out the food whenever there's music. So
there's that magic again.
Yeah, and especially like if I'm making dinner for like a date or something, and we're at my house, like I'll put on like I like that cliche like Frank Sinatra playlist, and it just makes me feel like I don't know, it feels nostalgic, even though that's not how I grew up.
Right.
Into like Sade and some Hispanic music, like yeah. So it was all over the place, but it just feels nostalgic because it feels like a movie to me, and it kind of
candles, like, wine.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like I have to, and at the same time, I can understand why that's always the thing that they're thinking of to put when people are cooking.
So is there music then that ruins the food?
It can only ruin it if you don't like it, I think. Like if you like metal music and you want to cook to it, all right, probably cook a little faster. Yeah, right. Naturally, you're just gonna want to go faster, or maybe you find the downbeats and you're just kind of going like a fraction of the speed.
I will say, like, if there is pop music playing at my job, I cannot create. Because in architecture there are creative tasks and there are monotonous tasks. Right. And you have to do both. Yeah. And so like if there is pop music playing, I will stop doing a creative task and switch to a monotonous task.
Right. Because that makes sense.
I don't want to give my creations shit.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's like a spiritual idea.
It's very literal. It's like this crap is playing.
You don't want it getting in.
And I can't make anything that's not crap now because my whole mood is just like, what is this? And I really try not to dwell on all that negative stuff. So I'll just try to shift it. I'm like, you know what? I can check out right now mentally and not think about this music and just think about this monotonous task.
That's cool. Yeah.
Because if I try to design a house listening to this crap, they're just gonna get like the crappiest house because I'm so annoyed.
Like, wow, this house really reminds me of Ed Sheeran for some reason.
Oh,
I didn't say it, but yes.
Yeah, that's funny.
Beloved songwriter of all time.
Oh God.
He did the grind though. I think he came up relatively naturally in London, playing small clubs until he got discovered or something.
Yeah, I was watching a video of him talking about like coming up, and the way he described it, I think he borrowed it from another person, but he was just saying like it's like water coming from a tap or a faucet, and when you turn it on, it's just a bunch of crap water coming out. He's like, you just keep playing, and it doesn't matter if it's like crap or you don't feel comfortable playing it. Just keep doing it, and eventually, after you get all that dirty water out, clean water starts coming. And he's like, and then sometimes crap will get back in there, and you'll have a bad night.
You'll have to do a set with Taylor Swift, but then it's okay because tomorrow you're on your own again. It's
right. Fresh water back. I like that. I mean, I took that from him.
Yeah, that's great.
Also, like, it helps me feel comfortable doing open mics and stuff. It's like not all the time have I felt comfortable going up there, and I know when I'm not at my 100%, and I just think of that role as like just keep pushing up all the water you can.
Well, it's interesting because I was watching a video of Tool with Danny Carey playing drums. There's some video that's going around of him playing Numa from the new album, and the way he's playing it, there's no way he's ever making a mistake on that song. It's just so ingrained and it's so easy. He's so calm. He doesn't care. He's just playing it, and he's playing it well, and he's into it as much as he needs to be. But just that level of practice and mastery on the stage, that is just, they play the show every night, and they're going to do 40 shows in a row, and if there's an error, it's not going to mess anything up because they all have everything so locked in that they could do it in their sleep.
Yeah.
But then also they're able to continue to do it with energy. So it's that balance of not letting it die then.
So in Japanese culture, they have this like belief of the bridge, right? And it's like once you cross the bridge, you are no longer the same person. So it's just that idea of like every single moment that passes is a butterfly effect, and you're constantly changing. And so like we were talking with someone, and they brought up Guitar Pro and how you can get vocals out of Guitar Pro, and I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I think that's a great tool for later. But when it comes to creating, I don't want those kinds of tools involved. I want the creation to be done first, and then we incorporate the tools. Same with architecture, same with writing, same with anything. That's how I feel, like analog first and then tools. Because what we're making is time capsules, right? It's like, this is who we are right now. And we're changing, and we're not going to be these people tomorrow. But because we are being so honest right now, then even after so much practice and even after so much time, no matter how many times we perform it, we get to revisit that person we were. And so it's always real. It's never going to be phony. It's never going to be generic or boring to us, because it's like when you're cleaning your house and you find something from when you were 14 and you're just like, oh, I can't believe that's who I was. And you are back in that moment. It's like, that's what I believe music is. Like, I had this professor, Peter Magyar, and he used to say that music and architecture are the roots and the knots of the cosmos. And he would say, like, architecture is the roots because it ties us to a place, and it is where we create our memories. Right? It's like your house or your school or whatever, where all your memories are created, and a scent or a sound will take you back to that place. But music is the knots, because when you hear it again, you don't need the other sound or the other smell. All of those senses come back. And it's like time travel. It's like if someone hurt you and then you hear that song again, your stomach is twisting, like you're having a physical reaction
Yeah.
to a sound. And so I just think that's really all it takes is just like authenticity and honesty. And if you're willing to give it the practice it deserves, then it'll always be there. So
Yeah.
just like Tool, it doesn't matter. They play it 400 times. They're always revisiting that person.
Yes. Yep. The authenticity and honesty. It's interesting as a vocalist because I struggle with vocals, I think, for that reason, because I think to be a good vocalist, you have to be authentic. And I feel like more people can sing than think they can sing because they're scared of their own voices. And so I've had a lot of students tell me they're tone deaf, and this is not true. They're just too scared to unlock their own voices. How do you feel about that?
I don't know about fear. I think your voice is voices are so fluid,
right,
in terms of sound. And so perhaps people think they're tone deaf because they just don't take the time to sit there and control their voice as much as they need to. I agree. I don't know if I've ever met someone who was truly tone deaf that I couldn't get to sing one tune.
Right.
You know, who couldn't sing a pentatonic scale.
Right.
And it's like once you just sit there and do it over and over and over and over, then you can control yourself a little bit better. But yeah, I don't know. But I don't know about fear. I will say, like, as far as fear goes, like me and Joey were talking, and he was like, he's like, we have to get it perfect. And I was like, we don't have to get it perfect. Our job is not to be perfect. Our job is to tell the truth.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And I tell him, like, when you go to a museum, you don't go experience art because it's perfect. You go because you're looking at things that are confirming how you already feel and what you already think. Those people were just brave enough to put it on a canvas or sculpt it or whatever. And so, like, it's really hard to be a writer because there's no hiding.
Right.
You're putting your business out there, and I am an extremely private person. Like, I have social media because you kind of have to have social media to be an artist. But if you go to my Instagram, it's just buildings and plants. Like, not plants that I take care of, just plants that I see. Because that's what I like to look at. And if it makes somebody think, oh, that looks nice, that makes me happy. But I think that's what we like. That's kind of our job, is like we're saying the things that people already know and they already feel and think. They just don't have the space to say them. So when they hear it back, they're like, maybe I'm just a little more normal than I thought.
Yeah. I think that's really tapping into something important. And I think that the idea of perfection when it comes to art is also a little bit not real. Like even the was it the tapestry behind you?
Oh yeah.
What does perfection mean with those waves? Could it be more perfect? I don't know. But you know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And even if you don't know what it is, you know, if that thing didn't exist, it wouldn't inspire the next thing. Like, we could be as perfect as we want. We're never going to be the best whatever we do because it's always evolving.
But you could be the best at what you do, specifically what you do. You could be the only ones doing what you do.
That's true too. I love that you said that. My friend, he's getting his PhD in psych, and we always have these funny little conversations. But, you know, I have my moments of self-deprecation like anybody else. I try not to, but it happens, and I don't try to lie about it. So I was like, we were just having a casual conversation, and I was like, I know I'm not special. Like, there's so many people in the world. Nobody's special, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, that's stupid. That's the silliest thing I've ever heard. He was like, literally everyone is special because no one in the world has the same experiences. Even if you guys are experiencing the same thing, you're perceiving it differently. So literally everyone is unique. And in that, there is specialty. And
I love it.
I was like, I'm an idiot. You're correct.
That's wonderful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, I don't know. Do you want to, that's such a nice note. Do you want to try playing something?
Woo! 3, 4.
Yeah. Here, I can go grab my banjo. Try something.
I was just talking about you today.
Oh, no. Uh-oh.
So free in my head, so trapped in my mind. If my body had been blue, I'm not sure what I'd find. But would be better than all these cages. 'Cause I'm strapped outside. It doesn't matter what we say. There's no they're not in my your traps, 'cause I'll never step foot. If you relapse, I guess I'm up to. Can't blame you for renovation. I can only blame myself for putting myself in these contradictions. So leave it like I should. person with guitar. You're a little more proud, a little more proud. But if you knew the words that come out of mine, you'd notice in cages. But we won't make it. In your existential cries, you already think yes. Just maybe we shouldn't be 100%. And these public spaces, 'cause you be the person that I am, and my friends that are behind my face. I can't let them down to 10. I know you make it, but you don't know what I
That was hard to do. That was like,
Nice. We did it. We made it.
That was difficult.
Yeah,
It was
that
difficult?
I was like put on the spot. I was like,
Oh, no, it's all right.
What inspired you to start doing that?
Well, so I don't usually play a song. So it's usually totally free. It's just this like effusive cloud, you know. That kind of stuff. Or just make a sound, you know.
One time
Exactly.
we went to this punk rock show and this lady started free form playing on a recorder.
Nice.
exactly like that.
Literally, like, it was the most fun show ever.
It was,
That's great. I love it. There's a jazz pianist who sometimes does shows just on his saxophone, or not. He doesn't play saxophone, but he does shows on saxophone. He doesn't know how to play it at all. And his idea is that you should be able, as a musician, to make music with any instrument.
Okay.
Oh, well, I'm not a musician then. 'Cause
What?
that.
Yeah, but yeah, we did it. We made it through all that. So
This was
Yeah.
awesome. We should talk more, Anthony.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what's coming next for the band? Do you have any releases coming out?
We just got a
shows?
drummer, so you can keep playing.
Oh.
Yeah, that's great. A little soundtrack.
We just got a drummer.
Oh,
and
cool.
So together we have about like 9 songs that we've done without him. So right now we're just trying to get him to learn our songs with us,
Right.
which is really great actually, because from a compositional standpoint, I kind of know where the songs should be going,
Yeah.
but he is the drummer. So it's like he gets to take my notes and he can add his creativity to it, and that's really great. So next steps are just like getting some of our songs down and recorded, and then we're gonna start doing shows.
Nice.
Because we really love to just do shows.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's great.
And everything else will just fall into place.
Cool. Well, thanks for talking with me and playing today.
No, you're great. You know so much stuff about so much stuff. I love it.
Well, it was a fun conversation. I don't know anything about architecture, and I know very, very little about cooking. So,
yeah, me too.
but yeah, so thanks for talking with me. I'll put your links below. Everybody should check out their Instagram and everything. Naked Lunch. This is Joey on guitar and Camila, vocalist, and they have a new drummer, I guess. So check them out for new music soon. Links below and all that. Thanks for talking with me today.
No problem.